Oh, good. Awesome. That's what we like to hear. ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Namaste to everyone, and today we are beginning yet one more text. And what is that text? The Bhagavad Gita, a small phrase from the Bhagavad Gita, and it it's a you didn't miss anything. You did not miss anything. Don't worry. It's fine. I suppose I should keep wearing the glasses, otherwise I'll click something that should not be clicked. Okay? Yeah. So don't worry. I'm back. You are okay. Everything is fine. You know, these are just little what is that? Prarabdha based glitches along the way. Yeah, so karmic glitches. Some karma was there, it had to go. It is gone now. Okay? Yeah. So let me repeat what I said. The Veda is a compendium of knowledge, which is an important text in the an important spiritual guiding light, the guiding text of the Hindu Dharma. The Vedas, as we know, are four in number, five if you count the Shukla Yajur Veda, which I think we should, because it is quite, even though it's a recension of the Yajur Veda, it's the mantras are very different. If you compare the Shukla and the Krishna, like even if you compare the some texts like the some shlokas like the Rudram, lot of differences are there. So we can even count it like, we can say that it is a it is a it is a fifth Veda. So there are 5 Vedas, and the purport of the Vedas is to guide the human being to to a certain completion of of quest, certain completion of the human quest. Now, you know, if you talk about the human quest, there are so many quests, right? And there is there is artha, there is kama. Artha means security, kama means all kinds of other uh, happy moments and wish fulfillment of various desires, kama. And then there is moksha, freedom from being a longing, wanting person. So these are all, these are the whole gamut of human desires. And we have to see something here, is that the Veda talks about this in a in a different way, in a way that is sometimes very pithy, and sometimes it is like it's a huge compendium of things to be done and not to be done in order to fulfill all these desires. So it's a it's a series of mandates in terms of nishedha, not to be done, and vidhi, to be done. So it's a compendium of vidhi, nisheda, vakya. So the sentences that enjoin one to do something, you know, Swarga kamaha, Swarga kamaha. What the Swarga kamaha means people who desire to go to heaven. Swarga kamaha somena yajet. So Swarga kamaha, the one who wants to go to heaven, somena yajet, somena juhuyat. May the person offer what? Soma, juice, into the fire, and if you want more instructions, it will all be there. This is just a mandate, and then you open the mandate. It's just like going on the computer. You Google something, and then it gives a link. You click on the link, it will just have basic information. Link. Are you able to hear me? Yes? Okay. So from that link, you go to other links. And so like this, it just keeps, the web is a very big place. The Veda is like a web. It's a web of, human relationships. It's not just the World Wide Web, it's even surpasses that. It's a web of the relationship of Jiva with the source, with Bhagavan, how to connect to the source, and from how to forge this connection, and from this connection proceed towards one's daily activities and milk the connection, so to speak, to to alter, so to speak, the jagat in ways that are more conducive to me. In fact, that's what everybody does. The only difference is the Hindus excel at it because we have a very sophisticated understanding of the source, and and the individual as a co-creator of this whole thing, because the individual is non-separate from the source. If there is a creator, the individual is not outside of this creator. That is the vision of the Veda. And then from there we can see the relationship with the forces, because that which is the source is manifest, is spread. Tatam, you know, tatam means spread. And this is a word that is very dear to Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. He uses it at least 3 times in the whole, in the whole text. Maya sarvam idam tatam. By me, by this tattva, by this principle, the creator, that conscious being, that conscious presence, that conscious sentient all knowledge presence is pervading this whole universe, the whole thing that is there, which is the combination of known and what? Unknown. That is what it is. The combination of known and unknown is all, sarvam. So maya tatam idam sarvam. Idam sarvam jagat, this whole universe comprising known and unknown elements is pervaded by me. What kind of a me? Avyakta murtina tatam. Avyakta murtihi here means in an unmanifest form. I just lend my presence, my Shakti, my Spurti, my Satta. I lend my existence to everything that exists. So whatever exists is what? Is myself alone. I am the only existent thing. And in this body, mind, sense complex, also what powers this body, mind, sense complex is that existence which you cannot attribute to yourself. It is me. Who are you? You are just someone that is trying to appropriate that existence and make it into something small, limited, and whining and complaining. That is, that is what you are an expert at. But maya tatam idam sarvam. Tatam, vyaptam, by me is pervaded this whole universe. And then if this whole universe is nothing but Bhagavan, this is the richness of the Vedic tradition, which pervades not just the Veda, not just the Bhagavad Gita, but the folk songs, literature, all the regional vernacular literature is full of this vision, is imbued with this vision. So the literature, dance, music, everything. Even the songs that the women sing while washing clothes, while, churning the buttermilk at home, in the fields, thrashing the grain, and, at home, putting the babies to sleep. What do they know about Vedanta? What do they know about, this compendium of the 5 Vedas which talk about how to relate to Bhagavan and how to get, how to make one's life more comfortable. That's what the whole thing is. So the Veda is hitam. Hitam means it is for my own benefit and comfort. Now, how do you define comfort? It varies, correct? According to different people, it varies. And I read one joke somewhere that they invited one yogi, some world famous yogi, for some conference or to give a series of discourses somewhere in Europe. So the Indian yogi went to Europe, and then there, they had uh, arranged a big banquet and arranged wonderful made living arrangements, very nice, soft bed and bedside table, all these things. The yogi, spent a sleepless night, the joke goes, and then the next day, ordered his bed from India to be shipped. Now, what was so famous and what was so special about this bed that was shipped overnight from India? It was a bed of nails. Then he started to sleep very well. So that is that yogi's concept of comfort. For us, it is not a tenable, thing. If we were to sleep on a bed of nails, no sleep would happen. And so, like this, the word comfort, is a shifting definition. It's shifting for 2 reasons. One reason we have already seen is that the yogi's comfort is not the bhogi's comfort. Bhogi wants lot of pillows, The whole bed should be full of pillows. If you turn here, there is a body-shaped pillow that you hug and sleep, and then and one is told it's a ergonomic practice, and the back is straight if you do that, and all these things. And then if you turn this side, there is a pillow for the neck and a pillow for the shoulder and pillow for the armpit and pillow for the leg pit and all these things, there is just, more pillows than, the person occupying the bed. So now that is the bhogis, perhaps. That is the bhogis definition of comfort. So there is a very big, difference. So that's why it's a shifting, definition. It is not invariable. And then the second reason is also because it's shifting, because once one happens to gain a certain level of comfort, there is no satisfaction. One wants to gain something more and more and more. That's how it is. Because the body is just, the body is trained, and it is trained to have a certain level of discipline, to have a certain level of functioning, to have a certain level of comfort. One has to train the body, really, to do with something. But then if that training is not there, or if it is skipped or missed in childhood, then the sky is the limit. One gets a little bit of a comfortable situation, you have one pillow, then you feel like, okay, why didn't I get this one? Okay, I got that one, why didn't I get the, what is that one which, where you press on the mattress and it leaves the fingerprint, foam, memory foam, yeah. Why didn't I get that one? Then the memory foam gone, some other new thing will come, and so like this, the need keeps growing. So again, so this comfort is vyabhichari. It's a contradictory definition, because it's not a definition that sticks. And that's why the Veda, it has the job of the Veda is not a small job. It's a huge job, because think of just the definition of comfort of one person and then multiply that by so many billions of people. And so that means, and then each person has a shifting definition of comfort according to age, according to the needs, according to wants, desires, all these things. So think of how big this compendium of, wish fulfillment has got to be in order to address everybody's needs. That's why it is huge. All kinds of desires are, given, and the solution and the resolution for that is also given. अथ यदि इच्छेत् दुहिता मे पंडिता स्यात् तिलौदनं पाचयित्वा अश्नीयात, tells the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. If anyone desires that their daughter should become a great scholar, pandita, duhita, daughter, pandita syat, let her become a great scholar, let her be extremely intelligent and well educated, let her be a modern day Gargi, a modern day Maitreyi, like that. If someone desires, then, there is a recipe for that. Well, so there is a resolution for that. And what is that resolution? The resolution is tilaudanam. Tila is sesame. So eat some sesame seeds with rice and jaggery, something is there. We have to look into that more, what the exact recipe is. So, pachayitva, having cooked, ashniyatam, please eat. So the parents to be of this bright scholarly daughter are told to eat this. So you see, here we have a desire, a specific desire. May my daughter be brilliant, and then a specific solution for that specific desire. So like this, all kinds of nonsensical desires are there, and all kinds of unattainable things, and even if you get those things, you don't know what to do with them, those kinds of things, starting with heaven, etc. All these things are discussed at length in the Veda, and that's why it is so huge. The Veda, when I say Veda, I'm talking about the whole Veda, but specific reference to the first portion. The first portion of the Veda has a lot to offer. For whom? For the comfort seeking, for the seeking person, for the wanting person. And therefore, it is huge, endless. So if we start reciting the first portion now and continue for all the Vedas for 40 days, you would have still not repeated a single mantra. Think about it. And all this is carried in the heads of the people. It's just amazing, What a culture. And so all these desires that make sense, like the desire for a job, for security, for the loved ones to be happy, all those kinds of desires which somehow everyone shares and it appears to make sense, and senseless desires. Like once having gone to heaven, I need a guitar over there. Why? Because I'm going to start a band. So, these kinds of, first of all, that I'm going to survive death is up to Bhagavan. I don't know. It's not verifiable. That having survived death, I will go to a place called heaven. Not guaranteed, not verifiable. Once having gone to heaven, I will like it. Again, not guaranteed, not verifiable. And then once there, then I will need a little veena or a guitar to be able to strum my way to, some kind of a celestial, some happiness, etc. Celestial ananda I'll get, because I'll join a band with the yakshas, the kinnaras and the gandharvas, these musical celestials that are there. I want to be part of them. This is a very strange desire, senseless desire. But still, the Veda will have, if there is such a desire in the head of a human being, the Veda will have a resolution for that. The question is why? Because the person is not ready for anything else. The person is not ready, certainly, to see the vision as an unfolding, vision of oneness, where everything that we see is tatam, is pervaded by that single non-dual source, which is not outside of oneself. This doesn't take time to articulate. This doesn't take time to understand, provided one has the infrastructure. And so until that infrastructure is gained, the teacher can keep on teaching and the student can keep on listening, but the interchange will be like the buffalo standing in a downpour. Yeah. What happens when the buffalo stands in the downpour? The answer is nothing. Nothing happens. The buffalo barely notices that there is even a downpour. And so too, this Shastra Varidhi, the rain of the Shastra, pun intended, the rain of the Shastra, in the presence of someone not prepared to embrace the glory of this vision, to assimilate the truth of oneself, to understand the reality of what is what. It is like a buffalo standing in a local downpour of rain, in a thunderstorm. So therefore, the Veda uses an ingenious method. And what is that method? The method is to fulfill some of these desires, both the ones that make sense and the ones that don't make sense. Doesn't matter, because that is where the person is seeking comfort. And why is this vision of one's own glory being missed by that person? Why? Because the person is ignorant. That's all. The person has what is called self-ignorance. One good thing is everybody has self-ignorance. So we don't have to have one more complex. Already the human being is a complex individual. Why? Because the person is a walking, talking embodiment of complexes. Very complex being. Nothing is simple about this human being. A very complex, walking, talking compendium of complexes. And so On top of that, we don't need one more complex. What is that? Ayo, I am ignorant. I don't know myself. We don't need that. So thankfully, we need not have that, because that is the starting point for each and every individual. What is the starting point? I don't know myself. And so therefore what? So therefore, my definition of what is hitam for me, what is comforting for me, is different from what the vision offers as the paramarthika, the ultimate absolute comfort. This is what it is. So therefore, I eschew that vision which is absolutely comfortable, which says that the self is the only comfortable thing there is. Knowing this self, you will be comforted, and you will not want any other comforter. Whether it's a comforter that you put on in the winter, or whether it is, a source of comfort, an agent of comfort, you will not seek, because in the wake of this understanding that you are the only thing that is already comfortable, you know like for example, if a person is having a nightmare, oh, it's very cold and I'm sleeping on a slab of, ice in the snow somewhere in the Himalayas, and I don't have any uh, covering, and I'm going to have hypothermia. This is a bad dream, okay? Yeah, I'm going to have hypothermia. The person is thinking in the dream, visualizing this, and I'm going to freeze to death. And the person starts to shiver, perhaps. The body starts to shiver in response to this dream, because the body is animating the dream that the mind is having. Sometimes if you dream you're running, you start kicking the legs. Same thing. So the body is just animating what is already the scenario that is being projected by the mind. It's a vikshepa. It's a vikshepa based on some pressure, some fears, some raga, dvesha, some memories of past cold nights, whatever it is. So it is, it is a smriti rupa, vikshepa. It is an adhyasa, it's a projection. And then what happens? So then, suddenly Bhagavan intervenes and you wake up. So the dreaming person, the person who is dreaming that I have been deprived of cover and I am freezing to death on an icy mountain, wakes up, and then to understand that in fact he or she is having 2 3 rugs and blankets and comforters, and is very, very comfortable. And then what happens? What is there to do? Nothing. In the dream, the person was a seeker, was trying to stay warm, was trying to perhaps light a little kindling fire, was not able to find some kindling, and then was running around helter skelter, was trying to hug a baby bear so that some warmth can be, because desperate situations call for desperate measures. And again in the dream, after hugging the aforementioned baby bear, what happens? Bear with me, because the baby bear is not alone. What is there? Mother bear. Ah. And the mother bear finds you hugging her child unbearable and then goes after you. This is what it is. And so this is all happening in the dream. And then the person wakes up and sees that there is no discomfort to bear. There is, there is nothing at all. I am in fact very comfortable. No ice, no bear, no fire, no trying to make a fire, nothing. I'm already comfortable as it is. Then what happens is that all the seeking stops right here, right now, in the wake, when one wakes up from this nightmare called samsara. Samsara is the original nightmare. Yes, it's a nightmare that whose raw material is self-ignorance. So the self-ignorance is there, but when it creates some tamasha, some gadbad means some kind of a disturbance. It creates this disturbance by projecting forcefully, that is ignorance in action. It's a dynamic self-ignorance, which is what the human being unfortunately is blessed with. Whereas you see animals and other jivas, non-human jivas, have a static self-ignorance, if we can use that word. What is a static self-ignorance? In the sense that the self-ignorance does not morph into some conclusions, wrong conclusions about the nature of the I, and projects those conclusions powerfully upon one's own mind, upon the world, and as a result of it sits and grieves. It's like being caught in your own web of lies. The other jivas do not have the power to project so forcefully. Animals also have little projection. The dog may think, oh, the master is going to be very kind and reward me for what? For chewing up the slippers. The puppy is thinking like that. But then the puppy gets a nice little whack with a rolled up newspaper. Surprise. So little projection may be there over there because, some little bit, but that projection is an inhibited projection and does not cause problems for the animal world, for the animals. Animals don't suffer from complexes like the human being. Animals don't get caught in their own web of projections and create what is called a nightmarish samsara. So therefore, for samsara, you don't need, another person. All that you need is yourself. And then what happens? You create, you project, you create. And in this projection, you are caught in this web of wrong understanding. And this is what is called a dynamic self-ignorance. A self-ignorance which is in Sanskrit called Swarupa Agrahanam. Agrahanam, not grasping one's nature, that is ignorance. You also have it, the animal also have it, has it. The human being has it, the animal has it. Then what is the difference? The difference is this, that the animal does not, for the animal, the self-ignorance does not cause problems. The dog also doesn't know I am God. It doesn't know that. I have a spelling mistake in my name, I have to correct it. No. But it appears to be, as long as it's left alone and not tortured, it appears to be happy with its lot. It doesn't try to, say, I have a dogged life and, I need to change. What is this all the time panting like this? I have to, I should be more cat-like. Look at them, so much grace. Look at how they walk. And I'm just this puddle of affection and unconditional love. I don't want to be this. I want to be a little more discerning in who I pounce on and who I lick and who I show the affections. I want to do that. It doesn't think that. It's happy being what it is, as long as it's not thwarted in its natural development. It is contented being who it is. This is something we have to see. So there is also agrahanam. It doesn't know I am glorious Ishvara, I am of the nature of wholeness, limitlessness. It has no clue. But here the self-ignorance, swarupa agrahanam, is just that. In the human being, however, there seems to be a freedom that is not there in the dog, in the cat, and in other jivas. And what is this freedom? Freedom is that of the uninhibited consciousness of oneself. The dog is also self-conscious, you know. That's why if it is chewing the slippers and you come into the room, it'll look a little guilty perhaps, especially if it has if it has been trained not to do that. So the dog is also self-conscious, and the human being is also self-conscious. But in the other jivas, this consciousness, this ability to be aware of oneself and aware of everything around is inhibited. There's just a little, ishad, little bit of a flowering, you know. Ishad means little bit. There's a little bit of a blossoming of this self-consciousness. Enough knowledge is there to recognize itself and to recognize other species, non-dogs. That's why if a cat comes, it will growl. The dog will growl. Who are you? Because the dogs are territorial by nature and they don't want it to be usurped by this cat. But then, if this big dog, like, some kind of a husky, meets a small dog. What is a small dog? What is that? Pocket dog. Stays in the purse. There's a special handbag for that. So this handbag dog, you know, the handbag dog looks at this big Siberian husky, and the Siberian husky looks at the handbag dog. And what will the handbag dog do? The handbag dog retreats deep into the handbag, and from the safety of the handbag growls. It will go close to the master, and it is safe in the hands of the master or the shoulder of the master, and then it will go deep, burrow into the handbag, and then from that safety give a little yelp or a bark or a growl. And the Siberian husky does not even bother to return this greeting because who are you, but does not at the same time mistake it for a cat. So that much self-consciousness is there for the purposes of propagation of the species and for the purposes of protecting itself from other species. All this is there. But what is not there is what the human being appears to have: uninhibited consciousness, self-consciousness. I am aware of myself freely, fully, completely, uninhibitedly. It is a blessing, and as well as a bane. Why is it a blessing? It's a blessing because I'm aware of everything. I'm aware of myself, and there are no inhibitions, there is no limit, there's no cap on all the things that I'm aware of about myself. And why is it a bane? It's a bane because I'm free enough to come to wrong conclusions about myself, to have not just Swarupa Agrahanam, but Swarupa Anyatha Grahanam. Taking myself to be what I'm not, coming to wrong conclusions. This is the human lot. And so you see, we have made a big jump from self-ignorance to wrong conclusions about the self. And then I'll make now one more jump. What is that next jump? The next jump, the next high jump is, from wrong conclusions of oneself, we make another leap to having all kinds of desires to fix up the wrong conclusions. Because if you look at the gamut of human desires, they always relate to the self. They always are centered on the I. And what kind of an I? A non-acceptable I that I want to turn into an acceptable I. This is what it is. And why do I want to do that? Because I don't know that the I is eminently acceptable. In fact, it's the only thing that is totally acceptable as it is, because it happens to be infinite, whole, and free of all complexes. And if I don't know that, I have to pay a big toll. Yeah, I have to pay a big toll. A big price is paid in the form of this constant seeking, and where the seeking it morphs into all kinds of nonsensical desires and custom made definitions of what is comfortable. So I sell out, really. I sell out for a stack of pillows from that, BBB, Bed Bath Beyond, whatever it's called, stack of, cushy pillows. I sell out And I try to buy the comfort in the form of these pillows. And, even though I have so many pillows, I still don't stop feeling low. That is what it is. Yeah. This is a hard pill to swallow. But in spite of investing, you know, so much of the salary on the pillow, I still continue to feel low. This is what it is. It is not a a permanent fix. Even though I'm permanently fixated on pillows, it does not alleviate, this feeling deep down that I have, that I'm not okay, that I'm not acceptable, that something is really wrong with me. And to such a person, if you start, spouting off the truth of the self, अच्छेद्योऽहम् अदाह्योऽहम् अक्लेद्यो शोष्य एव च नित्यः सर्वगतं स्थाणुः अचलोऽयं सनातनः अव्यक्तोऽयम् अचिन्त्योऽयम् अविकार्योऽयम् उच्यते, etc., etc. You start telling the nature of the self as it is revealed by the end of the Vedas. That's why it is called Vedanta. You start telling the person who is still at the beginning of the quest. Nothing, it's like I told you, it's like the buffalo standing in the downpour. It's the waste of time of the student. It's a waste of time. How come you're not saying it's a waste of the teacher's time? Because each time you teach, even to people who might be, who might not be assimilating everything, you see the truth of it. So it's always a blessing to teach. It's never a waste of the teacher's time, but it's definitely a waste of the time of the student for want of preparation. A lot is missed for want of preparation. That's why the Veda is like a mother. The mother, we have to add these days in Kali Yuga, functional mother, a caring, functional mother who knows that even though the child is crying and saying, I want to go out and play, she knows that it just needs to be put to bed because it's really tired. What the child needs and what the child wants, the mother knows, because the child is, you know, unable to express itself properly because it doesn't know what it wants. It makes mistakes. Yeah. It makes mistakes of all kinds. And so the mother cannot go with whatever the child asks for. The mother has to go with what the child really needs. And that kind of a mother, is Vedanta. Cantankerous inner children we bring to the teaching situation. But here, the Veda, the teaching, with the help of the teacher and the teaching, see what is really needed, and then does not really, Vedanta does not give what you want. It gives what you really are asking for, what you really need. What do you need? Comfort. We have been talking about comfort. In fact, that's the theme of today. You need comfort, you will get comfort, but you'll get the kind of comfort from Vedanta that is not an impermanent shifting comfort. You will get the comfort from understanding that you are the source of all comfort, really, and that there is nothing to fix in your life, in your situation. Yes, we are back on. We had a little frozen situation. Are you okay? Can you hear me? Yes? But somehow the screen is not cooperating. Let's try again. Much better. Okay. Yes. So can hear, can see? Yes, wonderful. There is some, probably the internet went out and came back in. No problem. I appear to be signed in twice. Let. How about now? Are you able to hear me? Okay, perfect. All right. So back to, yeah, one or two people saying yes is enough. All 33 of you don't have to say yes. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So uh, now the the whole question is one of seeking comfort because I am uncomfortable. And when you look into the source of this uncomfortableness or discomfort, it is the source goes back to here. It is not, out there. Even though it presents itself like if you were not in my life would be eminently more comfortable. My life would be much better if dot 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 if there was a presence of a few things that are not there. In other words, to put it in Sanskrit, pravritti, and my life would be much more comfortable if certain things were absent. Nivritti. This is the normal or rather abnormal human thinking, according to the Veda, according to the Bhagavad Gita. And in this thinking is, eminently there is a certain problem here. And what is that problem? The problem is that it is uh, it is not taking responsibility. It's not taking responsibility for the fact that there is a problem and the problem is centered on the I. Right where the problem is, the solution is right there. There are two kinds of problems, in the universe. Like, for example, the problem of hunger and thirst, valid problems. I'm uncomfortable because I'm hungry. I'm uncomfortable because I feel dehydrated. These are valid, issues that need resolution. Okay? And so now what happens here in this discomfort? I have to go get a glass of water to drink. I have to go find something to eat, a piece of bread I have to find and eat. And then I can say, the problem of hunger and the problem of thirst have been resolved. I can say that. Now, unfortunately, that's not, or fortunately, that is not the case with Vedanta. That is not the case with this special problem that I am not okay and I am not, what's the word for it? A, I'm not happy with who I am. I'm uncomfortable with who I am. I can't accept myself. This is the problem. Even though the problem morphs into nightmarish situations where one ends up blaming, you know, all kinds of people or the circumstances or the events in one's life. Really speaking, this is not a problem like the hunger and thirst. Certain problems where the solution is within the problem itself, you know, like that Sudoku game, like a crossword puzzle, like a jigsaw puzzle. Jigsaw puzzle we can take because it's very easy to demonstrate this. There are 50 pieces, and then you have to make some Eiffel Tower or something in the pieces. And then what happens? You put the pieces one by one, you stack it, and then you can see part of the Eiffel Tower, you can see the top, but the bottom is not there. It looks all upside down, and then something else is missing. There is a tree in the background that is missing. There are certain cloud formations that are not, sitting properly. And you look at the box of the jigsaw puzzle, you see the picture of what it should look like. And this is not happening in life. When you start putting the pieces together, it's not happening. It's extremely frustrating. You may run away. You may feel like running away, taking a break, having a cup of coffee, returning to the puzzle. But really speaking, the puzzle is complete in itself. As long as the 50 pieces are there, then nothing else is needed. You don't have to go to the market and buy one more piece. You know that the solution is in the problem itself. It's just it's not creating the picture that I know is there on top of the box which contained the pieces. The pieces were there, and the box shows the picture. There's a beautiful Eiffel Tower, birds are flying on one side, and then there is a cloud formation. There is perhaps a helicopter there. There are trees, there are people, and there's a lovely backdrop, and there is the river flowing. All this you see in the finished picture, which is complete. You have an idea of the finished picture by looking at the box. And you know that these pieces are somehow magically supposed to align themselves and then project this picture. But you struggle with the pieces and you're not able to come to come to that. Why? Because of some ignorance there. Ignorance of which shape goes. Some hand-eye coordination problem, some memory problem, recognition of how the pieces fit together. So many things. And it's very, very frustrating, you know. And so the quest to become comfortable is like that. It's not a quest for going and getting something to eat because one is hungry. That it's a different quest than going and drinking something because one is suffering from dryness and dehydration. It's a different quest. It is a quest whose solution is inbuilt into the problem, much like this jigsaw puzzle. And much like the jigsaw puzzle, one has an idea of what one's life should look like. That I have to be eminently and ultimately totally comfortable, that is the goal of my life, is already understood. So there is a picture, just like the picture on the box of the jigsaw puzzle of the Eiffel Tower. There is a picture in every human head of what that I deserve this comfort, and what this comfort should look like, and what this self-acceptance should look like. There is a complete picture of that completeness, of that wholeness that I'm seeking. How? How is it there? If I don't know something, how can I desire it? If something is totally unknown, it cannot be an object of desire. If something is totally known, then also it cannot be an object of desire, because if it is known, it is already gained. So how come this wholeness is an object of desire, and yet it appears to be unknown. Well, it is unknown, and yet it is not fully unknown. This is where the crux is. Listen carefully. This is where the whole thing is. The I is known enough to make a mistake, to be a sitting duck. The Atma becomes a sitting duck for all kinds of erroneous conclusions about the self. It is known enough. And yet the nature of it is totally not unknown, but appears to be out of reach. Just like, in India, there are musicians who are giving concerts and everything. And once a famous musician by the name of Bade Ghulam Ali Khan, very, very famous, was giving a concert, and he had a very bad cold. And what did he do? When it came, he could not reach the highest, the third octave. And when it came time to show that note, he could not reach there because his throat was very bad. He was having a horrid cold. So what did he do? He went as high as he could, and he showed the note in the air. It is there. I have gone there before, but right now I'm not in touch with that, but it is there. A little hand went up and he showed the note, but he was not able to reach it. So like that, every being has some idea of this perfection, of this comfort, of this, idyllic state, so to speak, idyllic and at the same time elusive, state, because that's what I think it's a state. The ignorant being thinks it's a state of some kind of a self-acceptance, some, you know, way in which all the pains and sorrows go, and I'm supposed to be comfortable, and I'm supposed to be happy. Everybody knows this. Why? Because like Bade Ghulam Ali Khan, this is the self, for Bade Ghulam Ali Khan, no note from whichever octave is unknown. He was a master, so everything is known. So here too, the 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 source of this comfort and what this comfort is like, one already knows. It is hardwired. So because one knows this, one has a taste for it, it becomes the primary quest of human life. It becomes a primary quest. But how did I have a taste of this Ananda? How did I have a taste of this comfort, the ultimate comfort, not just the pillow comfort? How did I have this taste? All you have to do is fall asleep. Not now, not in the Vedanta class, but, at night. When you fall asleep, there is a very interesting thing that is happening. The sleep of the Raja, the king, the sleep of the Praja, a lowly subject, is not subject to variations. Sleep is called the greatest leveler because the sleep of the king on his memory foam mattress or whatnot, 10 mattresses, and, golden four-post bed, all these things, people fanning and air conditioned, this, that, and all these things. How is that different? How is that sleep different from a begging person given to begging and lies down on the railway station, bus station, wherever, on a little parapet on the railway station, little high away from all the insects and everything, and just goes to sleep? No difference at all. The begging person is sleeping on a mat or maybe on the concrete floor with just a sheet to cover, and the rich king is sleeping on all kinds of wonderful things. But once the sleep comes, they are both one with Bhagavan, one with the whole. No complaints. It's completely comfortable. The sleep of the beggar is as comfortable as the sleep of the king. Think about it. It's very interesting. So if you write a treatise on sleep, there is no difference. It's the same sleep, and it's the same, here we can use the word experience of oneness, of an uninhibited oneness. which is the source of comfort. This is what it is. So in sleep, there is no credit card debt. There is no anxiety. What should I do tomorrow? There is no, fear of missing deadlines. There are no fears that something will be left undone. I will be left high and dry. If I don't do this, something bad will happen. My my career depends on it. If I don't do this, somebody will leave me, somebody will not love me. All these things are not there. And that's why sleep is the most coveted thing. And uh, the branch of medicine that is making the most money right now is sleep specialists. Yeah, you pay them to watch you sleep and to track your sleep, because this is Kali Yuga. After all, there are so much sleep disorders. Everyone is a insomniac. This is what it is. Because one becomes a maniac if one doesn't get sleep. Insomnia is not something to be laughed at. And so therefore, this sleep is our gateway, is a small gateway to understanding what this comfort is like. And even the sleep, even though it gives a little hint, a doorway, it's not entirely comfortable. Why? Because I'm not there to enjoy it. The mind has gone into a causal state. So if you ask a sleeping person, are you having a nice sleep? The answer will not come. The answer will come 8 hours later when the person wakes up. Sukhamaham aswapsam nakinchid avedisham. I slept very well. I did not know anything, including the wonderful quality of my sleep. I was ignorant of that. So that is the problem with sleep. And because even though that comfort promised in the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita is there, is experienced wholly and completely, but one is not awake to that experience. This is the problem, And so therefore, but the sleep cannot be discounted, because it has given the understanding that might be my nature. My nature might be free of anxiety, free of pains, free of sorrows, free of all kinds of fears and tears. Perhaps that is my nature. How come when I wake up, I'm a grumbling, whining person, and when I sleep, I'm neither grumbling nor complaining? How come? This vyabhichara, this contradiction itself is a doorway to seek the self and to seek the nature of the self. Am I already comfortable, or am I a wanting person? If I am a wanting person, then I'm a wanting person all the time, because the wanting person keeps wanting. And if I'm a non-wanting person, why do I have these wants? These are the if by nature I'm a wanting person, swabhavasya na nivrittihi, this nature cannot be removed. And if I'm a non-wanting person, why am I seeking even this knowledge? What is it that I'm seeking? So this the universal experience of sleep becomes an important gateway into understanding that perhaps I'm already what I seek. Perhaps that comfort is right here and I'm missing it. And because I miss it, it morphs into a permanent series of fixations with the impermanent. This is what it is. This is what is the definition of samsara. Samsara is nothing but a permanent fixation, a permanent obsession with things impermanent. That's why you don't need anyone else to complete samsara. You yourself are enough. The person is a walking, talking fixation of all things impermanent. And this fixation is what? Is completely with the person all the time. So the person is permanently fixated on the impermanent. This is the definition of samsara. And therefore, for such a person who is permanently fixed on the impermanent, the Vedas starts with baby steps. The Veda says, okay, you really want pillows, Here is a mantra that you will get some, you will be constantly surrounded by soft teddy bear pillow and this kind of pillow and all kinds of pillows of various shapes and sizes. Yes, you can do that. No, no, I want food, I'm always hungry. There is a mantra for that in the Taittiriya Upanishad. You can chant that mantra of the Annamaya Kosha, that mantra, and then the phala of that mantra is what? That you will never be lacking food. Even if you don't cook, somebody will bring. Even if somebody doesn't bring, there's always a restaurant, but you'll have the money to go there. You'll have the means to gain the food. This is what it is. So there is a mantra for food, there is a mantra for all this, because that's where this person is. This person is fixated permanently on the impermanent. And until that fixation is little bit, satiated, only after it is relatively satiated can it be absolutely, removed. So you cannot immediately remove the fixation, because then the person will go away angrily. So that's what the mother has to do. If the child is screaming that I want another candy, toffee, whatever it is, the mother has to look and see if the child can be convinced. No, 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 what you need is sleep. Let me tell you a story and you can go to sleep. You can do this, you can do that, somehow trick the child into going to bed. But sometimes that doesn't work. Sugar is in order, and so the mother has to say, all right, since you have been crying so much, you can have just one more, no more, just one more. Sometimes the mother has to give in. And so the first portion of the Veda is a mother that gives in. In fact, it's like two sets of mothers. you know, two sets of mothers. Sometimes people have, one is a birth mother and the other is a foster mother, an adoptive mother, whatever. Or someone who is like a role model, motherly, presence in your life. Sometimes one has two mothers. And so the Veda and Vedanta are like this set of two mothers. And they are in complete, not that they are jealous of each other and they are vying for, the jiva's attention. No, they are completely coordinated, complementing one another and completely in sync. And what does the first mother do? Let them have it. Yes, they want this. Let them have it. Let them just follow the righteous means. Give them this, give them that, give them lots of mantras. Keep them going, keep them busy. Throw some more things in the playpen, including some, logs of wood to do a little yagya to get something. And so that they are out of trouble, they are safe, and they're doing something so that, the activity is without question a safe activity. So that is the first mother in the form of the first portion of the Veda. Then there is a second mother called Vedanta mom. Vedanta mother is a no-nonsense mother because she gets to foster those children who have graduated from the first mother's lap. First mother has just babies, inner babies, outer babies. They are just, maybe outer adults, but inner babies. So that is the first mother. The second mother gets the graduates from the lab in the sense that they are little more. Perhaps they are toddlers, perhaps they are, adolescents, whatever it is. And here, she can be more directed in her parenting. She can be more disciplined. She can, say that that's not what you want. So she need not be so indulgent like the first mother, because the person who is coming to the mothering is ready to be disciplined, to be harnessed with that source of comfort from which one has, got detached due to, ignorance, from which one has been, alienated. That self-alienation due to ignorance can be reconnected. And that reconnection is the job of the Vedanta mother, in the second portion of the Veda. And the first portion prepares the child by indulging it a little bit, but at the same time giving certain things at certain times, full of injunctions, full of, you know, what is that, prohibitions. Do this and you will be happy, do that and you will suffer. And then the child doesn't listen and then forgoes the instruction, and then suddenly finds out that yes, indeed the mother was right, finds out the hard way. Okay, no problem, next chance, next life. And then again doesn't listen, next life, next life, next life. And then an old soul is born. An old soul who respects the message of the Vedas, because knows full well the toll of not respecting it. And then what? Graduates into a person who is relatively comfortable with themselves, and then is put on the lap of the mother of Vedanta, who then gives the knowledge, a different kind of mothering, really. So this is something which is very unique to the Vedic tradition. This kind of a mothering that one gains from the spiritual texts, because the spiritual texts are not just a compendium of beliefs: do this and you'll go to hell, and do that and you'll go to heaven. No, the spiritual texts are very, you know, sophisticated bodies, or the Vedas are sophisticated bodies of knowledge, whose sole purpose and intent is to guide the human being through the cyclonic and cyclical fixations with the impermanent. And sometimes you have to feed the fixation. Sometimes you say, okay, you just have a fast, do a meditation, get over it, you grow up. That is the way. So the mother knows here. That is why it is called Mata. She is Shruti. It's all just feminine here. The knowledge is feminine. The source of the knowledge is feminine, and it is all, something for one's comfort. First, the Veda in the form of the first mother tends to the shifting comfort and gives whatever is asked for, or at least gives the way to gain those ends. And then the next mother offers a non-shifting definition of comfort. A non-shifting definition of comfort that happens to be permanent. And this is what one was fixated upon, not everything impermanent. And gently is guided, the sadhaka is guided to that. But if this guidance comes too early, it's the water buffalo standing in the rain scene scenario. And if this guidance is not there at all, one is permanently stuck in the impermanent in the first portion of the Veda. And so therefore, the journey has to be made very, with a lot of finesse. And that is where the Bhagavad Gita, the role of the Bhagavad Gita comes in this finesse. Because the Veda is very unwieldy. I mean, where are we going to find what to do? And even the Upanishads you cannot read on your own. You need a teacher, you need to be guided. This knowledge you cannot get without, without help. And even otherwise, even if you know Sanskrit, where are you going to go and study the Veda? It seems so out of reach. Not so with the Bhagavad Gita. It's a household name, and everybody has one at home, whether they study it or not. At least it's kept in the puja room. It is deified. And this is something which one has to understand, because it is in the form of something which is very easy to assimilate. Very easy to assimilate. It's not like, what is that? Raw food. Raw food, where you just wait for the tree to grow and then, pick it and eat it from root to fruit. You eat it from the bottom to the top. And then, you have to go and spend 5-6 days to digest whatever you've eaten. It's not like that. This is already cooked, pre-cooked, assimilated food. You know, like the bird, feeds its babies. You should see how it is. It first chews it, makes it all soft, and practically puts it in its throat to make it very assimilable. That is what the Bhagavad Gita is. It's nicely chewed up. It's the Upanishad that is being chewed up, made pre-cooked, made tasty, made assimilable, and the jivas are being spoon-fed this. And that's why the Dhyana Shloka in the Bhagavad Gita says, Sarvopanishado gavo dogdha gopalanandanah partho vatsah sudhihi bhokta dugdham gitamritam mahat. So this nectar of immortality is the milk of the Bhagavad Gita, is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, which is likened to the milk. The milk comes from what? Cows. If the Bhagavad Gita is the milk, who are the cows? The Upanishads are the cows. And who is the milker? Lord Krishna is the milker. And who is the calf? Arjuna, the protagonist in the Bhagavad Gita, is the calf. And then what about, what about the rest of us? Who are we? We are what is called Sudhihi. Sudhihi means the ones who have decided to grow up from the lap of the first mother. Huh? Because when I'm ready to grow up, the first mother begins to smother. I experience the first mother, the mothering as a smothering because I'm ready to leave. I'm ready to fly the coop. And so Sudhihi means who have made the correct decision to go after this nectar of knowledge, which is likened to the milk. And so the calf, of course, Arjuna got the first share, and then the leftover knowledge, so to speak, not that anything is, left over in this knowledge, but whatever Arjuna enjoyed, all the sudhis, the ones of proper pursuit and proper intelligence have also enjoyed. This is what. And what is the milk? Dugdham Gitamritam Mahat. It's the great knowledge of immortality, the knowledge that I'm already comfortable, that I'm not subject to discomfort from, death, disease, whatever it is, I'm not subject to that. That I is free of this body, mind, sense complex. And that body, mind, sense complex may be subject to birth and death, but not I. This is the knowledge for which tastes wonderful. If one is ready for it, it is Sulabha Vidya. Sulabha means easy to gain if you are ready. But then it is also called Durgama Vidya, Durlabha Vidya. Durlabha because it is not, one is not ready for it. And the Bhagavad Gita, which goes after the Upanishads, which just mimics the Upanishad, gives both the vision and the way for getting ready for this vision. More we shall see tomorrow in the next class. I will chant the closing prayer here and stop if there are any questions. We can, address that. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ. Any questions? Okay. See you all in the next class, which is what? Keno Upanishad. Okay? All the best. Om Namah Shivaya.